What if it was easy? Just hear me out. What if it was easy? Hey guys, welcome back to You Are the Ocean, a podcast dedicated to navigating life's currents, moving in divine flow, and connecting to your inner wisdom. I'm your host, Tara, and today I wanted to talk about a message that I channeled from my ancestors the other day. I have it in my journal, and the message was this. If you keep on telling yourself it's going to be hard, then it's going to be hard. Let yourself believe it will be easy and the ease will come. So, this is something that we might do to ourselves, especially if we're coming from a place of being maybe more on the anxious side of the spectrum, or maybe if you're just kind of used to things not really panning out in the way that you hope, or you're used to things being a little more difficult. Um, if you've gone through like a lot of hardships, it's really easy to kind of see from that perspective of, expecting things to go wrong or to be hard. And when you're in this energy of expecting bad things to happen, what you are is you're essentially sort of inviting it in. You're inviting the energy in. So I definitely kind of come from that perspective of trying to like over prepare, or I've got like this amazing, wonderful imagination that can also just take some left turns, and then essentially I'm just looking at what's every worst case scenario. And on one hand, there's like a part of me that is like, this is how, you know, this is how to protect yourself, because if you can imagine bad things happening, then you can imagine a way to come around it. But when I'm imagining these bad or worst case scenarios, what I'm doing is I'm telling the universe that this is going to happen. That's why I'm spending so much energy thinking about it, because this is going to happen, or it's very likely that it's going to happen. And in that way, you can kind of manifest things to be more difficult. Not saying that this is happening every time. There have definitely been times where I was like, the worst thing is going to happen. Oh my gosh. Like, this is the worst. And everything turned out completely fine. And this actually ended up being like a pattern for me where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll freak out about something. And I'm just like, this is terrible. This is awful. And then everything kind of just falls into place. And over time, I was just like, this is the universe like making fun of me right now. This is the universe trying to tell me, like, hey, like, there's no need to put so much energy into assuming these worst case scenarios, assuming it's not going to work out. If you just like trust it'll work out, like, don't worry, it's going to be fine. And it's really funny because this actually happened kind of recently. Like, something happened. What is it? Like, oh, I'm not going to get into it. It's a waste of time. But something happened and I was like, oh my gosh, oh no. Like, and then everything was perfectly fine. It was like solved within 5 minutes. And then I was like, again, I was like to the universe, you got me. You got me, because I'm still doing the thing where I panic. And I'm just like, how do I come from a place that is not this place of like anxiety and panic in my daily life when anything kind of like goes wrong? You know, how can I begin to think that what if it was easy? And so that this ever since like I channeled this, every time I start to have doubts, I just start telling myself, but what if it was easy? But what if it's easy? And that kind of like stops me in my tracks, because it allows me to kind of shift my perspective into thinking like, well, maybe I can imagine like the best case scenario for this situation, and instead of holding on to all of these anxious feelings and then muddying up, or muddling up, I think I wanted to say muddling up like my energy field with all of that maybe I can just kind of like move into like ease. Um, and that believe it will be easy and the ease will come. I think that means not only will whatever is happening be easy, but like there will be ease in my nervous system. Like it won't be as upset or like, it won't come a little unraveled because I'm creating ease within myself because I am focusing more on something that's positive as opposed to something that's like derailing me. If further on, I also same period of time also channeled think of all the ways you perpetuate the things in your life you're trying to change. So that made me think a lot. Um, think of all the ways you perpetuate the things in your life you're trying to change. So when we're trying to shift into new versions of ourselves, um, I feel like you'll often hit these little speed bumps where if you're unaware, it can veer you off course kind of, for a little bit. And by speed bumps, I mean like, what are you thinking about yourself or your life? What do you, hold on, I lost my train of thought. Give me a second to reel it back in. Right, okay. I remember. So when I thought about this, I was thinking about the ways that I spoke about myself personally, like what kind of words I was speaking over my life and myself, such as, ugh, I always lose everything, or like, I'm, I never, I'm trying to think of an example. I have so many examples and now like I like cannot think of any of them. But okay, like let's just focus on that first one. Like me telling myself I lose everything. I can never like stay organized and things like that. So speaking those kinds of things over my life, I feel like makes it more difficult for me to move into a space where I'm reflecting like a newer version of myself that has more self-belief, and more gentleness and more like compassion for like myself. And also like sometimes when you stop and think about it, like, are you really the person that you say you are? Oh, I have another example. I wonder if I used this one already. I'll use it again. I don't care. But I was talking to a friend of mine and I was, watching like a tarot pick a card or something like that because I like to do those in my free time sometimes. And the reader was like, "You are not a perfectionist, right?" And she said it like a couple times, and each time she said it, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if that's me because I am a perfectionist. I do struggle a lot with perfectionism. And then I was like, wait a second. Do I still struggle with perfectionism, at least in the same capacity that I believed myself to be? Because I feel like I'm currently and at that moment have been moving out of the energy of perfectionism and more into allowing myself to make mistakes and being like more open to just not trying to make myself into some like robot of perfection. And so I thought to myself, like, me continuously telling myself, like, no, you are a perfectionist, or you do struggle with this. Um, in that way, it's kind of like, I mean, it's kind of like speaking, I guess, a curse over your life. Not to make it like super I don't know, dark or anything. Like you don't have to be like afraid, but actually I think this was going to be like another episode. I Cuz I was thinking about this in the same period of time this when I was channeling this came up. Um and like the words that you speak over yourself in your life actually, we all know that it really means something. It really does affect one, the way that you conceive like yourself and who you are. And that could be good or bad depending on what you're telling yourself. But those internalized beliefs do come out in the way that they do show themselves in the way that you move through the world. Like maybe you're not taking up certain opportunities because you think that you're not the kind of person who can handle it, or you can't do it because maybe you don't believe that you have the right set of skills or whatever. But like, is that necessarily true, or is that just things that you're telling yourself? How are you like perpetuating the old belief systems in your life that you are trying to shift away from? Um, and it sounds like, from an outside perspective, it sounds like really easy. Like, yeah, just say like positive stuff to yourself, like all the time, like whatever. But it takes a lot of um, it takes an ability to like, I lost my train of thought again. I'm gonna let this happen because, like I said, I'm not going to be a perfectionist. I'm tired of that energy. Like, I don't want to be anymore. I just want to be able to exist. And living in a state of perfectionism means that I just can't like exist as a human being because human beings are imperfect beings. Off topic now. But in what ways are you telling yourself the old you is still alive and existing today? I guess is what I'm trying to say. If you're consistently still saying that you are XYZ, then it's going to be that much harder for you to move away from those belief systems. So you have to be really conscious of like the thoughts that are coming up, and they can be like really sneaky sometimes. Like, I just sometimes like they're really quiet, like is what I'm going to say, like these thoughts, and you have to be able to like catch them as they come up and then essentially disarm them and say, actually, that's not true. Because the ego is kind of like sly like that, and like these voices that speak to us are not our own voices. The voice of like those negative thoughts that come up, it might sound like it's coming from a voice. Actually, sometimes it sounds like it's somebody else's voice, maybe somebody who um a person who was the one who was teaching you all of these things about yourself and internalizing all of these negative beliefs about yourself. But it's not your voice. It's things that were taught to you to believe during a time that was vulnerable for you. And we gotta root them out, y'all. Because in the end, are we making our lives more difficult? Making it, are we making things hard when it doesn't need to be hard? I don't know. I mean, I definitely would like to explore this a little bit more. But like I said, I've just started to kind of say, but what if it's easy? Whenever those doubts come up, but what if it's fine? But what if it comes out perfect, Or like, but what if it comes out, let's not say perfect because I was just talking about this, but what if it comes out wonderfully, or, just the way it needs to happen? That kind of thing, I think, is something that we need more of. And like, yeah, like maybe you are facing something that's actually difficult, or it seems like it's going to be really difficult, but like honestly, this has happened to me recently too. I had to like do like this like a bunch of paperwork and stuff, and I was like really worried about it. And like I was worried about the fact that like I didn't do it right, and I was like pulling cards because that's what I do, and I was like pulling cards, and they were like everything's going to be fine. And I was like, okay, but I'm still worried about it. And then the day came where I had to file the papers, and it was easy. And I was like, oh, they were right. It was easy. But sometimes it's just hard to like see like that possibility when you're so used to things not being easy, or you're so used to struggle. Like, are you perpetuating that struggle in your life by believing that you're going to have more struggle? Because if you believe you're going to have more struggle, you're asking for more struggle, and in the most loving way, in the most loving way. Like, I know nobody asks for it, but like in a way, in the way that we co-create with the universe, good or bad, whatever we are putting out the most is what we're going to get. If we're putting out like this energy of like everything's going to go badly, that's kind of, what's going to be reflected back at us, because that's just how the universe works. I mean, for better or worse. But in that case, you can harness that, and you can use it for your benefit by having like these radical thoughts of everything's going to work out no matter what. Like, I don't care what's happening around me. Like, everything is going to be okay. If we could just harness that energy and put as much like energy as into that as we used to into our negative beliefs and our negative assumptions about the future, like how much would change? I'm focusing on that now. I'm trying to get super delusional. I'm just kidding. Everyone throws around the word delusional, but like, is it delusional? Or is it manifestation? All right, that's pretty much all I have for the day. Um, Maybe we can pull a card. I feel like, this, I don't know, like, I feel like not super satisfied, I guess, with this episode, but I'm gonna post it anyway because not everything can or will be groundbreaking, if no matter what you're doing. If you're an artist, I mean, I am an artist. If you're a podcaster, if you're whatever you end up doing, like not everything is gonna be like the best thing that you've ever done, but that shouldn't stop you from posting things and just living your life and just sharing your voice. So I'm going to do this anyway, even though I think like, oh, like part of me is just like, was this pointless? It's never pointless. Like, nothing you do is ever pointless, because everything is leading you into whatever the next step is. So if you never take any steps, like how do you expect to go anywhere? How do you expect to move in any direction if you refuse to? So, I'm kind of coming in with that energy of like, you know what? Could have been a better episode. Some of my other ones I feel like hit different, but like whatever. I'm here, I'm showing up, like, and I'm proud of myself for showing up, and I'm not going to kill the momentum now. So let's do a card for what maybe what can we expect from the next couple weeks ahead? What energy can we expect in the next couple weeks ahead? Ooh. Oh, let me show you. Okay, so I ended up getting a call, so I shut the video off. But this is going to be quick. The first card that came out was Justice, the Justice card. And when I sat back down after answering the call, like this slipped onto the floor, and it's the Hierophant card. Let's see if anything else wants to come out. And the Queen of Cups. So this is like a deck that I just started working with. So sometimes when I start with a new deck, it can feel like a little uncomfortable, and I'm just like kind of figuring things out. Just give me a moment to kind of check the cards, check the energy. So what can we expect into the next couple of weeks ahead? I feel like there's going to be, wow. I think there's going to be like an emotional shift within you that has to do with being more fair. I think being more fair to yourself. Yeah, there's like this energy of like of understanding internally that there's like a better ways to show up and better ways to balance things in your life when it comes to like your thoughts and your feelings. I don't know, the justice card is really, it's giving me like ace of swords energy right now. And as for the hierophant, I feel like that also, to me, the hierophant, I don't know if you know the hierophant, but the hierophant to me sometimes can represent like the status quo externally, but also like internally. Um, and like honestly, I just keep looking at the way she looks so like introspective right now, and she looks like she's really like kind of, her eyes are closed and she's just feet in the water, which is connected to intuition and thoughts and feelings. And I feel like she's really just coming to a conclusion of like, all right, what is happening internally inside of me and how can I be more fair towards myself moving forward, which is like a beautiful sentiment. I also have, didn't I have like an oracle deck over here? Oh, here it is. We got an oracle deck here too. So why don't we just pull one of these? Okay, you know what? I just keep getting interrupted, so I think I just need to peace out. Listen, everything's going to be okay. Everything is going to work out. It'll be easy. Just tell yourself. But what if it's easy? But what if it works out? Be Delulu, okay? In the best way. All right, so signing off here. I'll see you in the next one. I'll also be posting more videos on the YouTube channel for those of you who are listening that are not just podcast related. So keep an eye out for that. I already have a couple shorts out and stuff like that. So, all right, bye.